painting this sword, I'm ready to get into more of the detail. And again, I want to keep the same color palette and scheme as I'm going with the shield because they're set. And I'm changing up my brush. So this is more of a flat and this is more round. Obviously, you can see the difference. This is maybe about half as wide, but it's also round. And I'm going to dip in. We're still using my Castellix bronze here, and I want to start getting into the detail work here. And as I'm grabbing this already painted portion of the sword on the handle, it's okay if you start to get some rub and wear. We can obviously go back through with paint, or a little bit later in the process, we can actually use a contrast on this handle, which creates some really kind of cool natural wear. So it's a little bit ironic as I'm handling the sword and creating wear on it. By that contrast, I can enhance those places where the paint has actually held, and by the time that I seal it, it creates this really nice effect that even looks even more natural. So if you like a realistic look, that works exceptionally well. So I've already got paint on my brush here, and I'm just going to get right in to the areas on the sword where I want this Castellix bronze. I can flip it around and maneuver it in such a way. Now this is also another benefit to priming with the lighter color. When we lay that base color down, is we can very easily see where paint is needed. Some folks might say, well, Jeremy, if you just prime it in black, then you can hide those places. You're absolutely correct. You can. However, I will not be able to get the exact sheen out of my Castellix bronze if I did that. This would be even darker than it is. And that's perfectly fine. If that's your method, that's your approach. Again, there's no one singular way of doing it. And my way doesn't mean that it's better than the way that you find. Maybe to your own personal tastes, you find that priming in black is that is what you like, and that is perfectly fine. Absolutely. For me, I just this sculpt is so detailed and beautiful. For me, I like to try to paint that as best as possible and kind of give it that extra level of realism. I'm getting right down in there, and those surfaces, sure, they're going to be recessed, and just by natural way of light not getting there, they will create their own natural shadow. But to just kind of not uh, just to rely on the absence of color there, just feels to me a little bit of a disservice to the sculpt when I enjoy this sculpt so much. So now I'm getting a little bit further into this, and you'll notice that, like, okay, well, now you're painting this bronze right abut to the leather. Well, isn't that going to create some issue with the color, and there's not enough contrast and variation there? Well, if I did not plan on giving that leather handle some additional treatment, yeah, that would probably be an issue. From aesthetically, the way the eye looks at things, and okay, that's not very exciting because I can't see where this piece of metal ends and the handle begins, but by the time we get done, it'll be very noticeable and it'll have a nice separation. And sometimes with painting, I wanted to put together these videos for folks that maybe aren't familiar with painting. It's about trusting your process or adapting your process as you go on, because just because you had a plan doesn't mean you can't change it. But when things don't look exactly the way that you want them to right away, just to pause, be patient with yourself, and have some trust that, like, okay, it's all going to come together. It's going to work out, and if not, then make it so. And I'm not saying that to be trite. I'm saying that from the sense of this is your work, and don't give up. Be happy with the finished product. And if it's not the way you want it, guess what? We're doing these nice 10 layers. So absolute worst case scenario, you could prime all over all of it and restart. You could even, I wouldn't suggest giving it a bath and stripping all the paint off of it when it comes to 3D printed pieces. Now, if they've been, maybe that'll be the topic for a different video, talking about stripping paint off of pieces. But I would not encourage stripping the paint off of this. Just, again, we're doing nice 10 layers, but if in that process you're like, hey, you know what, I've trusted it and I'm just not happy with it, don't give up. Just completely prime over it, start over. So that's what we're going to do for here, and we are set.